Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the ASUS ROG Zephyrus S GX531. This is an ultrabook styled gaming laptop. This is the world's thinnest gaming laptop currently. This is an unboxing video to show you what's in the box and to discuss my thoughts on what this gaming laptop is like to use. You'll note the box looks a bit tatty, but actually this is a brand new device, fresh from ASUS, and I've had my hands on it for 2 weeks to be able to talk to you about what it's like to use on a day-to-day basis, and that includes working and gaming, working during the day, gaming at night, gaming at lunchtime, gaming on the sofa, gaming at my desk, gaming while attached to another monitor. I've put this through a ringer, also run some 3D Mark benchmarking on it and in-game benchmarking, and played just a few different games on it to test it out. This is a £2,000 laptop, but it is very swanky, as you can see from this fancy box that it arrives in. Also has a really super sleek finish to it, which you can see here. It has a sort of brushed aluminium styling to it, a metal finish. High quality is the name of the game here, and it shows both when you first get it out of the box and when you're using it. Now, this is a Intel Core i7 8750 CPU powered gaming laptop. That CPU runs at 2.2 gigahertz. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it is also powered by a GeForce GTX 1070 Max-Q graphics card. A bit more on that in a minute. Inside the box you also get the stickers and the Republic of Gamers Gumph. Welcome to ROG. Thanks for spending loads of money. I hope you enjoy the laptop, and you probably will, because it is pretty good actually. There are some niggles around it, but it also is really, really well designed, and it works really well, and it's pretty impressive and good to look at. And I'm going to be sad to send it back. So I think that speaks volumes in itself. Now, this is a 1080p laptop that runs with a screen that's capable of displaying 144 Hz. Which is pretty impressive. Also, I really liked the screen visual options in it, because they have things like eye care, which you can use, and Windows mode, which you can use for spreadsheeting and browsing and general work throughout the day, which makes it easy on the eye, but then switch to various different gaming modes that make the colours and the screen a lot more vivid and visual for when you're playing games, which is really nice. Also, the box itself is fairly basic. I'm always hoping to see a wrist rest in there, because I thought this was going to be a bit uncomfortable. I'll just quickly talk through these. You can see on the sides of the power input, USB-C, 2 USB ports and a headphone jack. On the rear is the HDMI, and on the left side another USB port and another USB-C input. And you can see fingerprint magnet, and it just opens really nicely. You'll note the forward-facing keyboard layout there. That allows for those fans, which I'll discuss in a bit more depth. But when you open the laptop itself, the rear opens up. You can see the bottom rear opens up. That's how they keep it thin. That opens up to allow for venting of the hot air. What happens is the cooling air gets pulled into the top of the laptop near the keyboard, sucks through and obviously cools the device while you're using it, and then it blows out the back and out this bottom vents here. One point of note here is that if you push in the middle like that, it blocks that vent, which I've actually found as a problem if you game with it on your lap, because it can get quite hot that way. Now, the boot sequence, you'll see it's quite swift. Just quickly carry on talking while that's happening in the background, but you can see it boots up fairly quickly. It also has this forward set keyboard, which is quite interesting, so there's no sort of front bit, but they had to push it forward and allow for the fans at the back. You can see the ROG logo and what looks like scratch marks on the back of it. Actually, that's the venting for the air cooling system, so the air goes in there and then it comes up the sides and the back. The speakers on this device are pretty hefty, as is the screen. I'll show that with a quick demonstration of a couple of videos.
I'm your host with the most, Big Snoop Dogg. We're gonna be checking out some animals today. Roll the footage, man. Let me see what we got up here. Looking at rams and elks and
might have noted during those videos that the speakers are impressive. It's really hard to do it justice. They're actually very loud and pretty decent. One downside to using that though is the microphone really picks up the sound from those speakers, so if you're using any in-game VoIP, then your friends will hear the sounds of the games you're playing, and if you're recording any videos it's also a problem. Another problem I found is that fans can get quite loud under load. There are various modes where you can switch between, but they do get very loud. Quickly talk about this though. This is the lighting for the keyboard. You can note with the function keys and the up and down keys and left and right here, you can change the style of the lighting and adjust the brightness. It's quite subtle. They've gone for a very subtle design on this laptop because they want it to be able to be used in the office and not like get beaten up by your colleagues in terms of being picked on for having a weird gaming laptop. So it's actually really stylish. So you can turn the lighting off if you want to, or just set it to something basic. The keys themselves are also very quiet. It's on a membrane style keyboard. It's not like a mechanical gaming keyboard or anything, so it's quite easy and comfortable to use throughout the day. You also see the trackpad isn't in the usual place. It's not at the bottom because of the front facing keyboard layout. So you've got the trackpad on the side. It's quite narrow, but it's also pretty good. I wouldn't recommend using it for games. Plugged in another key mouse to be able to use, but it's still decent. It also doubles as the numpad, so you can turn the numpad on. Now, there's some software that allows you to change the settings on the lighting and functionality, and it also works with an app on your phone, which is pretty neat. So you can log into the app and then you can control your gaming laptop remotely, switch between the various modes, see what the overclocking is, change gaming profiles, switch the gaming visuals. So you can see there's different visuals that I was talking about here. Eye care is very good for day-to-day use in Windows, but the other modes are pretty impressive too. Now you can obviously do that within the settings on the laptop, but that's not easy to access. There's no quick switch mode between those really when you're in the middle of a game, so it's handy to have the app on your phone to be able to do this. You can also do stuff like turn the panel into 144 mode, or just turn the Windows key off, or turn the trackpad off, and you can switch between the power settings and the fans as well. And here it is, just demonstrating what that looks like. When you switch between them, you can see the significant change. It's a bit difficult to do it justice in a video, but actually those different color modes are really impressive and handy to have, and it's nice to be able to switch between them. You'll note as well, if you can look closely at the screen, you'll see in the bottom left it says Windows, silent, balanced, turbo and mixed modes for the different fan settings. Switching it to Windows automatically defaults the visuals to be less obnoxious and tones down the colours, so you've not got the blue light constantly in your eyes during the day, and that makes it nice. Obviously turbo makes the fans go full power for better performance under load, but I do find it's very noisy, and you probably note that in the video itself. Again, if you dive into the settings of this software, you can tweak the colours on the keyboard and adjust specific areas. It's split into quadrants, so you can see there's different areas across the keyboard that you can choose. You can either have the whole keyboard the same colour, or you can set different colours. You'll also note slight outline or thicker outline around the WASD keys to highlight them. Didn't seem to be able to adjust the colours of those keys specifically, but it does make them stand out in the dark a bit more. And it's just it's a really nice keyboard to use. I'm a big fan of mechanical gaming keyboards, as you've probably seen from our previous videos, but this sort of membrane style for a laptop is really good. Also has a satisfying closing functionality. And here's a closer look at the fans. You can see the venting system. Apologies for the marks on the keyboard. It does mark up really easily and really quickly, but this has been under some use. Now putting it through the ringer with Tomb Raider as a benchmark. I'll show you a quick few snippets from that. Yeah, setting it at 1080p and maximum graphics capabilities. Set everything to highest. And then run it on there and see how that performs.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños!
You can see from this sequence it's averaging somewhere around 40 frames per second. I actually found that was pretty standard for Tomb Raider when running this game, just playing generally. Seems to get around somewhere between 30 and 50 frames per second, depending on how intensive the scenes are, which isn't amazing. But it is on Ultra, and it is a laptop. Again, it depends on the scenes. You can see here getting higher on quite a beautiful area of the game. Very good game, by the way, if you've not played it. Well worth trying. And then the final results. They show it averaged at 48 frames per second. And that's with everything set to Ultra, so you could obviously turn that down. I like things to look pretty. And this is still on Ultra, and there's some footage to show that it does run smoothly and looks good. The general experience with gaming here as well is that it does work really well. I played some other games with it and found that they work just as well, a bit smoother. Played some Cuisine Royale, which is a recent battle royale game. That's a good laugh, also recommend that. And that got a lot better frames out of it. It's looking at 120, 90, 80 for varied around there depending on how intense it was. Also ran a 3D Mark stress test, so you can see benchmarking on this. Ran through the various 3D Mark tests on it, with the Skydiver one being the main one. And that scored 23308. And I will give a link to the scores below in the description. But that said, it averaged out around 87.46 FPS. This is a bit higher, so you can see. I suppose it depends on the game and what you're putting it through, and what settings you have it on. One thing I did note, it does get very hot under heavy load, and it does get very noisy. If you're using it on your lap, it gets very warm, which will be nice in the winter, but not great in the summer. And the cooling system on top obviously sucks in a lot of air, and it should do a good job. And you can turn the fans down, and they do change, but I find that it does seem to set itself to turbo quite a lot and get quite loud and noisy, which isn't ideal, especially if you're playing with friends and you want to be able to hear what they're saying. And then you can quickly see the results of the 3D Mark. Obviously this video has been shortened, and that's what I got there. And under another test I got slightly different scores. That's obviously going to vary anyway.
This is a camera view. This is a video footage camera recorded from the webcam, which is, turns out, only capable of doing 720p footage, but is more than capable of being used for Skype conversations or streaming or broadcasts. But look, it lets a lot of light and blockiness in. If that's an important factor, you can see the quality is not amazing. This one facet, otherwise pretty awesome laptop though.
So there you are, this is the conclusion to the video. Basically it's a very good gaming laptop, very enjoyable to use. It has a few problems. Actually, worth noting quickly that the numpad is meant to light up when you switch between the modes of trackpad and numpad, and it's meant to light up and show you. For some reason mine doesn't seem to be doing it, but I have seen a production model that also did work. So that's not great. And then there's this niggle with, if you push on the back, as I said, it can get very hot. I'd recommend gaming on a desk if you can, but it is capable of pairing a separate monitor as well, so run it on two monitors and extending and duplicating the displays, and it handles that. And it works really well during the day. It's very comfortable to use for working, it's very comfortable to type on, and it works very well for watching films and listening to music. and other things like that. The sound speaker's really good. The webcam's not great. The microphone isn't amazing, but if you plug in your own mouse in your own headset, you'll have a joyful experience with this gaming laptop. Battery life is very short. You'll only get about half an hour gaming and about an hour without it plugged in for standard use. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and come back for more in future. Thanks very much.